Next, we turn to another installment of our weekly Brief but Spectacular series. Alda is an award-winning actor, writer, director, and now podcaster.
A very clear understanding with the Pentagon: no guns.
For 11 years, Alda made us laugh as Hawkeye Pierce, the heart and soul of MASH. But behind the scenes, a different story, a painful one filled with secrets, struggles, and a truth he's only now revealing. The co-star who walked away because of him, the episode that fractured the cast, and the tragic moment too dark for television. This is the side of MASH America never knew. Born Alonzo Joseph D'Abruzzo on January 28, 1936, in New York City, Alda was destined for show business. His father, Robert Alda, was a singer and actor. His mother, Joan Brown, was a beauty queen. From backstage at vaudeville performances to the bright lights of Broadway, Alda grew up surrounded by performers. But his childhood was anything but glamorous. At just 7 years old, Alda was struck by polio. The treatment was brutal. Hot woolen blankets wrapped around his limbs every hour, day and night, to keep his muscles from wasting away. His parents, unable to afford a nurse, did it all themselves. The pain was unbearable, but it shaped him. He learned resilience, he learned to push through, and he learned that sometimes the people who love you the most suffer right alongside you. But his mother's struggles went beyond his illness. Behind her poised exterior, Joan Brown battled severe mental health issues, casting a shadow over Alda's childhood. He became an expert at reading people's moods, a skill that would later make him a masterful actor. When he finally pursued a career in entertainment, he made a choice that symbolized both his independence and his roots. He took the first 2 letters of his father's first name and the first 2 of his mother's last name. Alonzo D'Abruzzo became Alan Alda. College was more than just an education, it was an awakening. At Fordham University, he threw himself into acting, joined the campus radio station, and studied abroad in Paris and Rome. He honed his craft with the Compass Players and Second City, where improvisation taught him to think on his feet. By the late 1950s, he was performing at the Cleveland Playhouse, sharpening his skills alongside seasoned actors. But true stability in Hollywood still felt out of reach. His big break came on Broadway in Only in America, followed by Purlie Victorious in 1961. Television soon followed, with roles on That Was the Week That Was, and in 1968, he landed his first major film, Paper Lion. But the role that would define him and change television forever was just around the corner. In 1972, Alda became Captain Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce on MASH, a show that redefined war storytelling. It wasn't about battles, it was about survival. Laughter was their armor, and no one embodied that better than Hawkeye. He was brilliant, rebellious, and endlessly compassionate, using humor as a weapon against the horrors of war. But Alda's impact on the show went far beyond acting. As MASH evolved, so did his role. He started writing, then directing, and eventually became the show's driving force. And that's when the tension started. Wayne Rogers, who played Trapper John, had signed on as Hawkeye's equal. But as Alda's influence grew, Rogers felt like his character was being sidelined. He wanted more, but the show was shifting. Frustrated, he made a decision. He left. His exit was abrupt, with no emotional farewell. One episode, Trapper was there. The next, he was gone. Fans never got closure, but Rogers moved on, later leading Trapper John, MD, on his own terms. Then came the moment that nearly tore the cast apart. Season 7, Preventative Medicine. In the episode, Hawkeye decides to remove a reckless commander's appendix, not because he's sick, but to stop him from sending more soldiers to die. Mike Farrell, who played B.J. Honeycutt, was adamantly against it. Not just as an actor, but as a person. He believed B.J. would never cross that ethical line. Alda saw it differently. The debate was intense, spilling over from script to reality. The result? One of the most morally complex episodes in the show's history, leaving audiences questioning whether doing something wrong for the right reason could ever be justified. By 1983, MASH had become more than just a sitcom. It was a cultural phenomenon, and its final episode, Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen shattered record. Alan Alda's career has been nothing short of extraordinary, but his journey has also been shaped by profound personal and professional struggles. His time on MASH was more than just a role. It was a deep dive into the psyche of a man wrestling with the horrors of war. The show's finale, which he co-wrote and directed, was a haunting reflection of PTSD, long before it was widely understood. It wasn't just television. It was a mirror held up to the real struggles of countless veterans who suffered in silence. Hawkeye, always the quick-witted surgeon, found himself unraveling, his memories forcing him to confront a buried trauma. The impact of MASH went beyond entertainment. It started conversations that had long been ignored. But Alda wasn't one to slow down. After more than a decade as Hawkeye Pierce, he threw himself into new creative challenges. His 1981 film The Four Seasons, which he wrote, directed, and starred in, was more than just a comedy. It was an honest look at how relationships evolve over time. Audiences connected with its raw and genuine storytelling, proving Alda's talent wasn't limited to acting. Years later, in The Aviator, 2004, Alda stepped into the role of Senator Owen Brewster, a sharp and ambitious politician clashing with Leonardo DiCaprio's Howard Hughes. The film was a massive success, earning 11 Oscar nominations, and Alda's performance was so compelling that it landed him an Academy Award nomination. Decades into his career, he was still proving his range, still pushing boundaries. But beyond Hollywood, Alda had another passion: science. In 1993, he became the host of Scientific American Frontiers, a PBS show where he didn't just present facts, he engaged in real conversations, making complex ideas accessible. His fascination with discovery led him to found the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science in 2009, training scientists to share their knowledge in ways that truly connect with people. Even in the world of science, he remained a storyteller, ensuring knowledge reached those who needed it most. Yet, through all his success, his greatest story was one of love. In 1956, a simple, unexpected moment, sharing a bite of a fallen rum cake at a party, brought him and Arlene Weiss together. Just a year later, they married, building a life grounded in laughter, trust, and an unbreakable bond. Arlene, a photographer and writer, was the quiet force behind his success, shielding their family from Hollywood's chaos while ensuring their home was a sanctuary of normalcy. Their daughters, Eve, Elizabeth, and Beatrice, grew up with a father who, despite his fame, never missed the important moments. In a world where celebrity families often fracture under pressure, the Aldas remained intact, bound by love and shared values. But life has a way of testing even the strongest. In 2015, Alda noticed small, almost imperceptible changes: a slight tremor, a restless night. 3 years later, he publicly revealed his Parkinson's diagnosis, choosing to face it on his own terms. Instead of retreating, he fought back, staying active, boxing, playing tennis, and refusing to let the disease define him. His message was clear: life doesn't stop with a diagnosis. There's still joy to be found, stories to tell, and moments to cherish. Alda's time on MASH had already forced him to confront mortality, both on screen and off. Hawkeye's humor had always been a shield, a way to push back against the weight of war and suffering. In real life, Alda carried his own fears, the ever-present worry of not being enough, of being seen as an imposter despite his success. Even after 6 Emmy Awards, an Oscar nomination, and countless accolades, that doubt never fully faded. But maybe that's what kept him striving, evolving, and refusing to settle. His influence stretched beyond Hollywood. Inducted into the Television Hall of Fame in 1994 and awarded the SAG Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019, Alda wasn't just recognized for his talent, but for his impact on the industry. Even as he faced Parkinson's, he continued to advocate for science communication and medical research, proving that storytelling, whether in film, television, or science, had the power to change lives. His memoirs, Never Have Your Dog, Stuffed Things I Overheard. While talking to myself through every chapter of his life, Alan Alda remained a force of nature, a man who never stopped learning, questioning, and most importantly, telling stories that mattered. And as he continues his journey, his legacy isn't just in the roles he played or the awards he won. It's in the lives he's touched.